Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo. But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah. Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Turning Point conference. Were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the because against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
Daytime television just got hit with a $100 million curveball. And no, this isn't a plot twist from a drama series. It's real, and it's unfolding in front of millions. Charlie Kirk, the outspoken conservative figure behind Turning Point USA, has taken direct aim at The View, threatening a massive defamation lawsuit that's turning heads across the country. But the shock didn't end with legal paperwork. It hit live, on air, during a regular episode of the show. That's when co-host Sunny Hostin was told in real time that Kirk and his legal team were coming after them. Her reaction? Absolutely stunned. In front of a live studio audience and millions watching at home, Sunny visibly struggled to keep it together. The tension was immediate, the emotion was raw, and the clip instantly went viral. But how did we even get here? Kirk claims he's had enough of being misrepresented and dragged through the mud by mainstream platforms. According to him, The View crossed a line. And now, he wants accountability, not just an apology. He's demanding something much bigger, $100 million and a public reckoning.
Let me kind of humble the audience a little bit. Donald Trump won by less than a point in Wisconsin, about 28,000 votes. He won by a point-ish, 1.2 in Michigan.
What followed was a media frenzy. Social media erupted, news outlets scrambled, and suddenly everyone had a take. Some say Kirk is pushing back against what he calls media smears. Others argue this is a dangerous attempt to silence strong voices and open debate. No matter which side you're on, one thing's clear. This isn't just about one show or one lawsuit. It's about where we draw the line between opinion and defamation, free speech and consequences. And just when you think you've seen it all, the backstory goes even deeper. So, what exactly did Charlie Kirk say he's suing for? And is it already in motion? According to multiple conservative outlets and Kirk's own statements, the lawsuit centers on comments made by The View hosts that he claims were not just wrong, but seriously damaging. The issue? Allegations connecting Kirk and his organization, Turning Point USA, to extremist groups during a live segment. And it's not the first time. Back in 2022, The View already found itself in hot water for implying a link between TPUSA and a group of protesters who showed up at one of their events waving hateful signs. At the time, Kirk's legal team fired off a cease and desist letter, and The View quickly issued an on-air apology. Most thought that was the end of it. But Kirk didn't forget. And apparently, he didn't forgive either. Fast forward to now.
And then he won by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And so, Megan, it is conceivable that without this record movement of youth vote, he doesn't win.
Kirk is reportedly preparing to take things to court, claiming the show continues to target him unfairly. The number floating around? A staggering $100 million in potential damages. That's not just a lawsuit, that's a full-scale legal warning shot to the entire media world. But here's the twist. As of now, no official court documents have surfaced, no public docket number, no federal filing confirmed. Which raises the question, has Kirk truly filed the case? Or is this a legal power move meant to trigger a media apology or settlement without ever setting foot in court? Some legal analysts say this could be a strategic bluff. Others believe Kirk is playing the long game, building a public case first before dropping the official documents. Regardless, the lawsuit threat has already done its job. It's created a wave of controversy, dominated headlines, and sent a clear message to talk show hosts everywhere. Tread carefully, or be ready to defend your words legally. And for The View, that pressure came crashing down, live and unscripted. When the news of Kirk's $100 million lawsuit hit The View's set, it didn't just create tension. It triggered a moment that no one could have predicted.
It's amazing. She's specifically there referring to the women, but of course it's the non-college educated men as well who voted for Donald Trump. And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much.
And it happened live. As the segment unfolded, co-host Sunny Hostin found herself caught completely off guard. You could see it on her face. Confusion, then disbelief, then something deeper. Her voice wavered. Her eyes welled up. And in just a few seconds, the show's usual light banter turned into one of its most vulnerable, unscripted moments ever broadcast. Sunny wasn't reading from a script. She wasn't playing to the crowd. She was reacting in real time to the idea that her on-air words could be used in a massive legal case, and that she, personally, could be held responsible. She pushed back through tears, saying she was simply sharing her opinion and speaking from her truth. But the weight of the lawsuit, the public spotlight, and the potential fallout, it all seemed to hit her at once. And the internet noticed. Within hours, clips of her reaction flooded social platforms. Twitter debates erupted, TikToks were stitched, YouTubers posted breakdowns, reactions, and commentary. Half the internet was rallying around her, calling it a chilling attack on free speech. The other half accused her of playing the victim after allegedly crossing a line. Regardless of where you stood, the moment was unforgettable. This wasn't just TV anymore. It was real emotion, real stakes, and a reminder that words, especially on live television, can carry consequences far beyond the set. But here's the thing.
To try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
This wasn't just about Sunny. Her reaction symbolized something bigger. A cultural crossroads where commentary, criticism, and cancel-worthy moments collide in the public square, with cameras rolling. And while the clip went viral, the story behind it goes deeper, into legal history, media power struggles, and a past that The View might not want resurfaced. To understand why this lawsuit matters, you have to rewind, because The View and Charlie Kirk already have history, and it's not pretty. Back in 2022, The View aired a segment where they seemed to suggest that Turning Point USA, Kirk's organization, had ties to extremist protesters. These individuals had shown up outside a TPUSA event, waving offensive signs and wearing disturbing gear, but they weren't invited, affiliated, or endorsed by the group. Kirk's legal team responded immediately. a cease and desist letter hit ABC's desk, demanding a retraction. And surprisingly, the show complied. Within days, The View issued a rare on-air apology, clarifying that Tepusa had nothing to do with the protesters and had actually denounced them. Crisis averted? Not quite. That moment may have passed, but Kirk made it clear he wasn't satisfied. He believed the apology was rushed, insincere, and far too late to undo the damage. Since then, he's brought up the incident repeatedly in interviews, claiming the show has a pattern of crossing the line, then backpedaling only after legal threats. And now, with this new on-air moment reigniting the feud, he's allegedly taking it all the way to court. But here's where it gets tricky, because Kirk isn't just any public figure.
Do you think if a liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this?
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa.
He's a political personality. That means under U.S. law, the burden of proof for defamation is higher. Much higher. He has to prove what's called actual malice, that the hosts knew their statements were false or didn't care whether they were true or not. It's a tough standard, but if Kirk can even get this into a courtroom, the discovery phase could be explosive. Private emails, behind-the-scenes footage, legal strategies, all up for grabs. And the payout? If successful, a $100 million win would be one of the largest media-related settlements in recent history. But legal wins aren't just about money. They're about setting precedent. And in a world where talk show commentary walks a fine line between opinion and offense, that precedent could change everything. What started as a legal warning quickly turned into something way bigger, a cultural flashpoint that split the internet in two. On one side, conservative voices rushed in to support Charlie Kirk. Podcasters, political influencers, and media personalities argued that this wasn't just about him, it was about holding major networks accountable for what they say. Some called it a long overdue reality check for shows like The View.
To go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this.
Accusing the panel of throwing out accusations without ever facing the consequences. Even figures like Joe Rogan weighed in, hinting that mainstream platforms are finally being challenged by the very people they once dismissed, and the message was loud and clear. If you can say anything on air without fact-checking, be ready to deal with the fallout. But on the flip side, progressives and media watchdogs weren't having it. They saw Kirk's legal threat as a thinly veiled attempt to silence strong voices, especially women of color, who challenge his ideology. According to critics, this was less about justice and more about intimidation. A way to chill honest opinion and scare networks into self-censorship. Then came the public reaction. TikTok lit up with viral edits of Sunny Hostin's emotional moment. YouTube creators dropped deep dives on the case, while Twitter turned into a battleground. Some called for The View to issue another public apology. Others demanded ABC stand their ground. And somewhere in all this noise, fundraising emails quietly started going out. Kirk's supporters began donating to defend free speech. Merch sales spiked. Hashtags like #Sue. The View started trending again, just like they did after the 2022 incident. Whether you see Kirk as a defender of truth or a media agitator, one thing's undeniable. The story touched a nerve. Because in today's climate,
I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have a lot of fun at the Department of Education. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've had quite a few people contact me about that particular post. Like, I'm sure I have 1/100th of what you're getting, but people are contacting me about cabinet posts. I'm like, I got
look,
nothing.
I mean,
a lawsuit isn't just legal. It's political, it's personal, and it's public. But with all this chaos, there's still one question that hasn't been answered. Will this case actually go to court, or is it all a pressure play? Let's break down the possible outcomes next. Now here's where things get interesting. Despite all the buzz about Charlie Kirk's $100 million defamation suit, something's missing. An actual court filing? As of now, no public record, no docket number, and no formal complaint has surfaced. That's led many to ask, is this a real lawsuit or just a warning shot? Some legal analysts say it's likely a power move. By publicly announcing the lawsuit and letting that announcement go viral, Kirk may be leveraging public pressure to force a response from ABC or The View. Think about it. Without stepping foot in court, he's already made headlines, shaken up the show, and sparked a nationwide debate. And if the goal was to stir up attention and rally support, mission accomplished. The internet's flooded with reactions. Sunny Hostin's on-air moment is now part of meme culture, and Kirk's name is dominating political talk circles. Even if the lawsuit never officially lands, the strategy has already paid off in media exposure and fundraising dollars. But make no mistake, if Kirk does file, the case won't be easy. He'll have to prove that the hosts acted with actual malice and that their words directly caused reputational harm.
Yeah, I'm actually, after this conversation, heading to Mar-a-Lago for a week, and we have a lot to sift through, and if I could be helpful, I have asked. I want to be actively involved in all things education, as you can imagine.
That means depositions, internal emails, behind-the-scenes footage. Everything becomes fair game in discovery. For ABC and The View, that could mean pulling back the curtain on how on-air conversations are prepared, edited, or even rehearsed. And if any inconsistency is found, it could shift the balance quickly. Still, many legal insiders believe the most likely outcome is private. A quiet settlement, maybe a retraction, and a non-disclosure agreement, just enough to make the noise go away. But even if the lawsuit fizzles, the message it sends won't. Because in today's world, where commentary can trigger courtrooms and one emotional segment can dominate headlines for weeks, the line between opinion and consequence has never been thinner. And the real impact of this story, it might not be in the courtroom at all, but in every live mic that comes next. So, what started as a routine segment on The View just turned into a $100 million flashpoint in the culture war. Whether this case ever reaches a courtroom or stays in the headlines, the ripple effect is already here. It's no longer just about Charlie Kirk or Sunny Hostin. It's about every host, every panelist, and every show that walks the tightrope between bold opinion and legal blowback. Because in today's media landscape, words don't just spark conversation, they spark consequences. And whether you see Kirk as a truth teller or a strategist playing the PR game, one thing's for sure. The View just got a reality check. Not from ratings, not from reviews, but from a legal threat powerful enough to make even live TV stop cold. The question now isn't just who's right, it's how far is too far when the whole world is watching.